How to get started in cybersecurity. Start with the basics. That's why I tell people, part of the basics. Number one, understand what cybersecurity is about. What is cybersecurity? Cybersecurity is about protecting assets, digital assets to be more precise. However, cybersecurity also involves the safety of lives, not just computer devices. It's the protection of computer or digital devices and the people that use them. And any good security program would always prioritize the safety of life over anything else. And many professional bodies in cybersecurity would also make this number one or above everything else in their code of conduct, including the ISC squared. They prioritize safety of life in their code of conduct, and it's part of the code of conduct the members are expected to abide by. And part of the code of conduct, any organizations they are affiliated with or associated with should also comply with. Cybersecurity is about protecting digital assets. And what are you protecting them from? You're protecting them from harm, from threats. For example, hackers, loss through fire, like natural disasters. Yes, cybersecurity also involves protection of digital assets and the people that use them, but also protecting them from loss and damage. For example, there's flooding, there's fire disaster. Have you made a backup copy? So if fire burns the hard copy of the files, for example, like the papers, the printed versions, do you have a backup somewhere else? Do you have a backup in the cloud? And for those who don't know what cloud environment is, that's part of the basics you need to learn. I'm not gonna go into that in this video because the point of this is to focus on what cybersecurity is, where to start, the paths and the direction, how you can go, how to make yourself relevant in the field despite the presence of AI everywhere. Yes, you do not have to be a coder or a programmer or a geek to be in cybersecurity. You just need to be determined, you need to be hardworking, you need to know how to network as well, because the point of everything I believe you're doing is so you can apply it in the field, apply it to secure an organization, apply it in securing data of people and protecting the world at large from harm, from hackers, from theft, and so on. One place to start from is networking. Learn networking. Now, you don't need to be the most technical person in the room, but one misconception, this is a bit controversial in the cybersecurity field. There are different perspectives on this, which is many people think or say cybersecurity does not require technical knowledge because not every area of cybersecurity is technical. That is true. However, having technical knowledge or technical understanding of the way the infrastructure works or the principles work or operate in practice or in the practical area of things makes it easier to communicate what you're trying to say, makes it easier for people to know you know your stuff, makes it easier for you to lead teams, because there are teams you lead and they might take advantage of your lack of technical knowledge because they're just going to throw jargons your way and they know you don't know what they're saying. But because you also don't know anyway, you feel like they know better, or you just have to accept it so you don't look stupid. It's just best to know your stuff as much as you can. Yes, you don't need to be technical, but being technical could be an advantage for you in some situations. I'd also be sincere with you and let you know that being too technical could also have disadvantages and could work against you in some senior leadership roles where they need you to have interpersonal skills more than technical skills. Now, the reason for this is sometimes technical people speak a lot of jargon. By jargon, I don't mean rubbish, I mean technical terms. They use the big words in the field and they don't make an attempt to break it down to simplify what they're trying to say. Sometimes it just makes things more complicated, it makes things more difficult. And information that is difficult to comprehend is usually useless, or it leads to inaccurate information. And inaccurate information leads to wrong decisions most of the time. So that's why communication skills, some other interpersonal skills, listening skills, ability to bring people together, ability to encourage, ability to motivate, ability to lead and manage teams sometimes would surpass your ability to explain technical stuff or your ability to do technical stuff. For example, I start saying things like you need the OSPF protocol to route to another router with OSPF protocol. But then if you want to route between EIGRP and OSPF, you need a third router that would have like BGP, and that, I start throwing all those jargon around. What does OSPF mean? If I'm trying to talk to people that are just getting started in the field, how would they understand what usefulness is that information to them? Yes, you can go and research, but in some situations, especially when it comes to the real world, the real work side of things and doing the real stuff, there may not be time to do research. You might be reporting to executives or more senior level managers who are expecting you to do the work. So you give them the key points that they need to make the decisions on. What tools do we need? How much is the budget we need? Why are we choosing this one? How is this better than the previous one? Simple questions, simple answers. Don't come and start throwing things like, because when we get the Alcatel router, it can't work with the Cisco router because the EIGRP in Cisco is proprietary, and EIGRP, when we use the enhanced internet gateway routing protocol with the routing information protocol, and then we add the open shortest path first protocol that uses the Dijkstra's algorithm, and then because it goes, they don't need all that information. We need this because it generates this amount of traffic, or it allows this amount of bandwidth, and the configuration is easier. It allows the team have more time to focus on more important things, because with this one, we are able to set it up within 3 minutes and get it running. Also, this one has a bandwidth of this that allows more traffic at the same time, making it easier for traffic to go through and reducing the chances of deadlocks or bottlenecks, and people or users would have the best experience. That might be all they want to know. It's that simple, right? But then you start throwing the jargon. So that could differentiate a technical person, because the technical part excites them so much, which is not a bad thing. I used to love technical bits as well. Now it's a bit too much. And dealing with clients, dealing with senior executives, reporting directly to senior management, you realize all those stuff, all that jargon, they are good for you to understand, but your work is now having the ability to interpret those to the people that need to make the decisions.